Welcome to Upticks with Jake Falcon, founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, we help high net worth individuals overcome financial complexities. We do this by enhancing financial literacy and discussing topics in a language free from industry jargon. Join us as we help explain exactly what having a solid financial plan means, as Jake draws from years of experience in helping hundreds of individuals get financially organized and focused on their goals. We hope you find Upticks educational, entertaining, and shareable. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back to the show. This is episode number 244, Trustee Responsibilities with Samantha Shepherd. Hello, Samantha. Thanks for being here today.
Hi, happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you, and for our audience watching or listening at home or out and about, Samantha's name may be a familiar one. She's a longtime friend of the show, and Samantha is the CEO and president of Assured Trust Company and also the managing attorney of Shepherd Elder Law. So Samantha, it's hard for me to think of someone that would be more qualified to talk about what we're going to talk about today.
Well, thank you. I'm flattered. I'll do my best.
Good. Well, I appreciate you being here. Before we get into everything, Samantha, how have things been for you lately? Anything new and exciting in your life? What's going on?
I do have something very, very important to share with the universe. I am about to lose my last child. He has decided that UCLA holds more allure than Kansas City. So he is graduating and heading to UCLA.
Good for him, and that's very exciting. I'm sure there's a lot of emotion around that, but
I'm smiling for you now, but I have not been smiling every day.
Yeah, I can imagine. Good for him, though. It's very exciting. That's a great school, great place to be. So, well, good. I think as far as today's show goes, I would just give everyone a quick reminder at home that if you're not already subscribed to Upticks, the best way to make sure that you get this content each and every week when it comes out is to click the subscribe button on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Of course, a thumbs up rating and 5 stars is appreciated if you think that it is worth it. Today's show is an important one because we're going to talk about trustee responsibilities and what that really means. But I think just to start at a high level, Samantha, can you just define the different roles at play in a trust, a grantor, a trustee, a beneficiary? Can you just kind of walk the audience through what that means if somebody either has a trust or is interested in establishing one?
Okay. So a trust should not be a scary word. A trust is not just for the very well-to-dos, not just for the rich people. A trust is a way to make things simple for your family when you are aging and becoming less able, but also when you pass away. A trust avoids probate. That means a trust stops your family from going into a 12 to 18-month process with the court. So who are the parties? The people who create a trust, that's you and your spouse, usually, or you if you're an individual on your own. You are called a settlor or a grantor. Sounds very fancy. You're just a creator. We can use that word. It doesn't matter. Then the person in charge is usually you while you're alive, and that is called the trustee. So that's the word I want you to focus on, trustee. If you create a trust, you are your own trustee most of the time until and if you need someone to step in your life. Now, I think the biggest thing to remember is this is not just a death tool. Does that make sense, Cory?
Yes.
I think people think, I just want to avoid. Those who know often say, I want to avoid probate. I need a trust. Okay, but that's that death moment, which last time I checked, we'll all get there. But
the great equalizer.
It is the great equalizer,
Yep.
Death and taxes, right? And we've all just experienced the taxes part. So what happens though is 75% of us, that's almost all of us, will have this chapter in our lives where we need the assistance of someone else to step in. Now, it may just be bill pay, or it may be, and what happens sometimes when we're older is we pay the electric bill twice, or we skip the electric bill. So we're living longer. Or it may be that we're busy traveling and we are doing so well in life that we want to delegate and say to our children, hey, will you help out with my bills? Or you want to pass that responsibility on to someone else that you trust. Hey, will you make sure my taxes are done? Will you make sure my bills are paid? And there's also those uncomfortable, not so pleasant times where we're talking about you're not okay anymore at home and you need someone to step in and help you sell the house, decide to transition into perhaps an apartment or, God forbid, some sort of senior living arrangement. And that role is often taken on by your trustee, which means we really need to give some thought to who you name in your trust. Who do you name as your trustee? Now, the other term I want to just clarify right now is at the end, the people who get your money, those are called your beneficiaries. And sometimes you create a nice, lovely conflict if the people in charge of you and your money are also the same people who receive your money.
Yeah, that's really good. So, and I think, Samantha, that is oftentimes the reason, maybe not, well, I know it's not the only reason, but that is one of the reasons that people will use a corporate trustee or will name a corporate trustee to be in charge. So can you just speak to what is a corporate trustee and what does it really mean to work with one?
Happy to do that. Do you mind if I segue? I want to go back
Please.
just one. If you come into me and you say, I don't know a whole lot about law. I don't know a whole lot about anything. I've got money. I don't have a lot, or I have a ton. It doesn't matter. But what you say to me is, Samantha, I want to come up with a plan of who's going to help me out as I age. And usually you're thinking about death. Who's going to take over the money when I die? And most people that come in have kids. Not everyone, but a lot of them are saying, look, I have these 4 children. I have 4 children, so I'll use mine. I have 4 children. And if I drop dead today, what's going to happen to this pot of money? Who's going to take over? And as my children have gotten older and as I'm older, I think the ages of their maturity, I keep pushing it further and further out. No, they're not quite ready to handle the life insurance and the house. Sure. We don't want the 4 of them to squabble. So I'm often asked that, are the kids good to step in? Okay. The answer to that is very often that's who we want. We want our children to be in charge of us as we age. Is it kind? Is it fair? Is it a responsibility? First of all, it's a job. It's a job. It's a time commitment to be trustee. So imagine you're just you. You're independent. Your kids don't know where you bank. They don't know what your pension is. They don't know what you're getting for Social Security or even your current income because it's not their business. At what point does it become their business? Hey kids, come on, let's sit down around the turkey and my Social Security is $2,200 a month and your mother's getting $1,800 a month and our budget looks, when is the right time for that? And at the time that you most need those children, are they busy with children of their own? Are they busy working a 50-hour work week, trying to raise 2 kids, running to baseball practice, running to softball practice, running to gymnastics? Do they have time? And if they have the time, is it right for them? Does it cause them stress because it's outside of their comfort zone? So there's a lot to consider. So individuals, let's go this way. When you first sit with a lawyer, she's going to ask you, hi, mom and dad, who do you think you want to be your trustee when you cannot? And you're going to go, oh, what does a trustee even do? We love our kids. They're good kids. We'll name the oldest. And I try to say, okay, take a breath, right? The oldest child for me right now is 25. And as I said, the older my children get, the less I think of as a mature 25. I think, no, that's unkind. At 25, I don't want you in charge of your 3 brothers. I don't want you making spending decisions about whether your brother can have a Honda, a Toyota, or a Lexus. I don't want you to just say to your brother, no, you get $100 a day over spring break, or you get $100 for the week over spring break, because I'm dead, right? Do I want my 25-year-old burdened? I don't. But I will tell you that I have been a lawyer for a long time and I have drafted a lot of trusts. And I did not have that conversation because I didn't know, because I wasn't the CEO of a trust company. I didn't have people bringing me those situations day after day saying, oh, mom died unexpectedly. Here's this 25-year-old with the responsibility of trustee because he's the oldest child. And he's going, what's a trust? And he didn't even know his mother named him. So now I'm more aware of the burden that it imposes. And I do try to at least sort of time out the parents and say, I want you to pretend that you're gone today. Today. Not let's do a 10-year plan, but if you're gone today, maybe you do have a sibling who is a financial advisor, who loves money, who's ever so dull and boring. No offense, Cory.
None taken.
Who would love to sit with your QuickBooks, who would love to review your taxes, who would not mind finding out what the agreement says at the residential senior living where you're moving in. So maybe you have that geeky engineer family member. And I don't want you to go 10 years out, 20 years out when I'm old and frail. I want you to go today. If I had to hand over my checkbook and my financial portfolio to someone who could step in, figure out when the next mortgage payment is due, when the next real estate tax payment is due, what needs to happen for your life right now. So that might be a sibling, or it might be a corporate trustee. Now, you asked me, do you mind if I just jump, or do you want to ask a question?
Go ahead.
You sure? Sounding a little bit like I'm lecturing you.
No. Jump, Samantha. Leap.
Okay. What is a corporate trustee? Okay. You have a trust and you have two people, mom and dad. You're in charge right now as your trustees. Your backup is a successor trustee. If we name a corporate trustee, what does that mean? Okay. Big bank usually. And what are you to them? You are an account, and they will step in and they will monitor the spending, and they will make sure that the investments are managed by them. That was the first thing I learned when one of my young guys died. So remember, most estate planning lawyers, they set up portfolio, they set up trusts one after the other for decades before their people start dying. So I had a gentleman who died, got cancer. Within 6 months, he was gone. And I had helped him name Big Bank as his corporate trustee. Why did he name a corporate trustee? He had daughters. Both of the daughters he thought were reasonably intelligent, capable women, but they had kids and he wasn't fond of their spouses. Being honest here. And he didn't really think that they would be positioned well to take over his farm and the money that he had. So he named Big Bank. What he didn't know was that Big Bank, as corporate trustee, would gather. And that is their job. They gather. So they need to identify the assets. Where's the checking account? Where's the savings account? Where's the IRA? Where's the CD? Where's the bonds? Is there land? Is there a house? They gather. But typical corporate trustees say goodbye to Cory, the long-term financial advisor, because they bring the money in. And that's okay, but my clients didn't know that. And I didn't hammer that home with them because I hadn't experienced it until this gentleman client of mine passed. And I got the call from Big Bank, and they started moving the assets away from his chosen financial advisor. Now, remember, when he sat with me, he thought he would be 92 and dead, not in his 50s with a cancer death. So he did not, none of us really want to envision that, but we need to plan for it. Let's pretend. It's so fun to meet with me. I tell you, Cory, I say, okay, today we're going to die. How you want to do it? You want to fall out of an airplane? You want to skydive? Or do you want to have something really benign like, cancer? So big banks collect money. The reason that I bring it up now is because I have a bias. I have a trust company that does not do that. At 92, maybe I don't care. Maybe I just don't care who manages my money. And if you don't care, then naming Big Bank is there because they will take the money and they will divvy it up into pots. At a younger age, I think it matters because most often, Cory, we hold the money, the trust company. So I'm going to use me. I have these 4 boys, and I hope they don't listen to this. But as much as I love them, if I get the message that I'm going to heaven, I don't want them to have my life insurance that I have set aside for them instantly because they're too young. So I set age intervals for all of my clients, and those age intervals are typically something like 25, 30. Or if there's a lot of money, 25, 30, 35, maybe 40. It really is a conversation that I have with my clients. Tell me about your children. What are their, what's their level of maturity? What's their level of comfort with money? What's their financial acumen? What is your desire for them in terms of how long the money will be there? But very rarely it's, I die, here's the money. So the money that you have saved all of your life is held for your babies and is given to them at increments of time. And you're picking somebody as your trustee to manage that money. When I first did my trust, I was in my 20s. And I brought with me a law school debt, a zero equity in this cute little tiny house that we could barely afford, and life insurance. And so the life insurance was the big thing. My life insurance was going to pay into the trust. And my spouse and I were racking our brains with who do we want to look after this infant that we had fallen in love with. I mean, no one has ever experienced the love that we had for that baby. That's what you think.
Right.
And who in the world is going to be in charge of the decisions about whether he gets to go to this Montessori preschool? And our mindset was very focused on this blonde, curly, beautiful baby. And we found one of our age friends that we thought could adopt him. And that was who we thought of to be trustee. But we didn't really realize that sometimes what you want is to separate. The person who has the baby and is loving on the baby is not necessarily the one that you want managing the money. So there's some discussion that you need with your attorney when you sit down and say, okay, I want to pretend that I'm gone today. Who do I trust to make decisions about my child's well-being? And that's not necessarily who I trust to invest the money and to make spending choices. And you can bifurcate like that. And I recommend that you do, and consider a corporate trustee. It's work. It is work that you're giving to your friend. It's enough to say, look after my baby. So give the work to a corporate trustee who specializes in asset management, and they are fiduciary. So that means they are obligated, legally obligated. They are not going to abscond with your money. There's peace. There's peace in your heart knowing that under no circumstance will that money be used for anyone else's children. That money is monitored. And when you have a corporate trustee, they are audited by the state or whatever entity. Our trust is a Kansas regulated trust. So Kansas comes in, knocks on the door and says, hey, let me see that trust. What have you got going on there? I know you asked for a quick answer, so I'm a little bit embarrassed about how long my answer is.
No, there's no need to be embarrassed. I think there's a lot of good information there, and there's a lot to unpack. But I think an important point, Samantha, that you made is that whether I name a corporate trustee or an individual as the trustee for my trusts, that whoever steps into that role has a fiduciary responsibility.
They do. And they do. And it's scary. Go ahead.
And that's kind of what leads me to the piece around all of this, which is that, in my experience and some of the discussions we've had, Samantha and other folks that I've talked to, is that people, like the example you gave where somebody named a child as a trustee and the child doesn't know what a trust is or didn't know they were named as the trustee. In a lot of ways, if people don't know what they're getting signed up for, that creates, a big learning curve on the front end, right? For them to figure out how they're supposed to be able to manage things and help them understand that they have a fiduciary responsibility. And that's why I think, the takeaway that I have, Samantha, is that it doesn't mean that an individual should never be named as the trustee. It just simply means that it's important for the grantor, the creator of the trust, to understand the responsibility that will fall on the trustee, regardless of who it is.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And in a perfect world, you live to 92. You leave your money equally to your children whom you adore. Yesterday, I had one just like that. The dad and the mom named the children, and everything was hunky-dory until we hit the jewelry. And there is a significant pool of assets, and that's not a problem for these gentlemen. It's the jewelry. And one of the children is named as the trustee. So There's now the friction over the jewelry, and the two children have no intermediary. They have no third party neutral player. So I'm grateful they did actually make it to Assured Trust, sort of in a back door way, and we're going to help them discuss and figure out a solution without taking it to a contentious legal battlefield.
That's really good. That is that sounds like it's still a difficult situation, right? Exactly to your point. That's it can be a difficult situation, and I think that I'm kind of thinking, Samantha, about the cost, right? Hiring a corporate trustee. I'm thinking, one, what is the cost to hire a corporate trustee, and two, what is the cost of not hiring one? So can we start with that first question, Samantha? Can you just talk, maybe give a general idea of what it looks like, what it does cost to actually work with a corporate trustee?
Okay, absolutely. Cost is very important. First, it costs absolutely nothing to name a corporate trustee. So you are naming a backup and it doesn't cost. So your regular old security system that you put on your house, your insurance that you put on your house, it costs not to name a corporate trustee. So if they never serve, what did it hurt you? Nothing. They're your backup. When they step in, there is a pretty much industry norm. So you can find that fee schedule for any trust company, and you should ask before you sign on. And there are there are levels of fees depending on the assets that they manage. And it reminds me of the tax code. So you know how we pay in certain levels. If you make X number of dollars, everything that you make is not subject to that higher threshold.
The stair step. Yep.
Or steps. And it's the same way with a trust. And the norm is about 1%. Now, I say 1%, but there are times, if lots of money, the fees shrink. If there are complexities like special needs, the fees will be higher. So a typical special needs, I've seen some trusts that are 2 to 2.5%. And if that's the situation, you should run. That is not okay, in my opinion. It takes some looking around and some haggling at times, but the norm of 1% should be in your mind, or 1.25 to 1.5 for special needs. That's what I say is typical. Does that help?
It does. It does. What is how would you answer the question, Samantha? What is the cost of not hiring a corporate trustee?
Wow. Okay, what is the cost of not hiring a corporate trustee? 99% of the time, an attorney is needed. So that means that you name a child and the child has death to deal with. So they don't understand what a will is, where the will goes. It has to go to probate. And so you're talking about probably similar fees. But at minimum, you're talking about a couple of $1,000s to approach an attorney to say, what do I need to do? Do I need to file a will? Do I not need to file a will? Is there a probate asset? Is there not a probate asset? Do I need a tax ID number? Do I need to pay taxes in the year of death? Do I need to take a minimum required distribution? What's my deadline for the minimum required distribution? There's a learning curve for an individual, and they would get that through a trust and estate attorney, which has a fee. And that's a really hard number to say what that would be. I think it's probably, it could be 2% is probably death is different than life. Remember that one. While people are just coming in to say, mom and dad are both dead, straight money out, straight money out, straight money out, then you're talking typically a 2% administration from anybody that's going to help you with that, whether it's a law firm or whether it's a trust company. But the ongoing, that's what I think where I would say that's what my love and my passion, the ongoing, which means we have individuals that we're looking after and we don't want to give an outright distribution. We need to hold it and protect them. And as you know, Assured Trust is focused on that. Those individuals who need a helping hand, we want to be there for special needs individuals. Do you mind if I segue a little into why that's not?
Go right ahead. Please do.
I think that every parent who's had a child falls in love. if your child has a special need and is receiving any kind of life enhancements, and the answer to that is it doesn't mean Medicaid, Medicare, SSI, SSDI. I mean, you want as a parent some supports. So you could have many millions and never intend to have any public benefits, but you know that somebody needs to know your child and figure out how to navigate the dollars instead of you just saying, here's the money.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you're a wonderful child, even though you've never been able to live independently. We don't want a label on you, but here's the money. That's an error. That is, I have a lot of passion about trying to fix that situation. And I have met lots of individuals whose parents loved them so well that they couldn't make a decision, and the parents died. And I stepped in and helped this individual navigate some roads that were pretty bumpy. And I love doing it, to be honest. I wish that there were more planning, but let's just say, what happens if the parents do have a trust and they think the best solution is the sibling? That's what I wanted to touch on. In a special needs scenario, it's a great idea to have the sibling involved. It's a fantastic idea to have people who know your child involved, but involved doesn't mean wholly responsible. And there is a compromise. You can have a corporate trustee, which sounds so ugly and formal, but you can have assured trust as a trustee, and you can have your child be on an advisory panel. You can have your child be a co-trustee. You can have your child be a trust protector. Discuss with your lawyer what are levels of involvement that you can have other people who love your child, but not a burden. And you want a trustee that knows how to navigate special needs. You want a trustee that has legs on the ground, that can figure out how to do life with your child the way you want.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's really good. That is really good.
It worries me. It worries me a lot that parents get so upset about making a perfect plan, they make no plan. Or they put the twin sister who then moves to Baltimore, and your one special needs child is in a group home in Olathe. How is that going to work? Not beautifully.
That's really good. I think that shed a lot of insight. And I, the comment that you made around if somebody has, an institution that's the trustee, a corporate trustee. You're right. It is kind of saying corporate trustee sounds so corporate, right? To your point, Samantha. But I do think that even if somebody does name that, it doesn't mean that, other children have no involvement, right? It's not necessarily one or the other, like you said.
It needs to be, it's education, isn't it, Cory? It needs to be explained to families what a corporate trustee means in the context of leaving a special needs child. It doesn't mean big bank. It could mean a completely different entity. Assured Trust is not alone in what it's trying to do. There are other corporate trustees that focus on special needs children and special needs families and individuals with unique needs. And even big banks, if there are wonderful people inside a big bank, they can be a good answer for your family.
Good. Thank you, Samantha. I know we're about bumped up against the clock here, but are there any other quick tips or wins or just suggestions that you have for the audience, things to think about or consider?
Absolutely. My parting words to you would be, pretend for a moment that you are gone, and do it as if it were today, and get to know the corporate trustee that you think you might want to name. Get to know them because you're entitled. My analogy is this: when I was pregnant, I was with my first baby. I felt like I didn't belong yet in the baby club. I couldn't go into Toys R Us. I couldn't go into what, I don't even know if those things exist anymore, but I couldn't go into the baby shops, and I couldn't shop stuff because I didn't quite feel that I belonged. And that's part of what I want to give you today. You belong. You belong knocking on the door of the trust company now. You are able to ask. You are a shopper and you are a consumer. You want to knock on the door, have a sit-down meeting and say, my name is Samantha. I am perfectly healthy and well, but I'm doing my estate planning documents. And Cory told me I should investigate corporate trustees. Tell me about you guys.
Very good, Samantha. I think that is that's great advice for people to heed, and it's probably it's almost natural, Samantha, for you and I to talk about. But I'm sure for a lot of people that are watching and listening to think about that exercise might be something they've never done before, but it's really a favor that you can do yourself.
And you can also ask Cory because I fill his head full of stuff. So you can say, so Cory, tell me about it. What's a corporate trustee? Do you think it's a good idea? Are there pros? Are there cons? What do they cost? Should I do it?
And I'll direct them straight to this episode, Samantha. But no, but again, Samantha, thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming on and joining me here today to talk through something that I think is very important and something that there's just maybe not a light shined on it often enough. And for everybody who's at home watching and listening, thank you for tuning in. Again, make sure you're subscribed to the show so you will get updates when this comes out. If you have any questions or thoughts or ideas, feel free to send me an email. It's Cory at Falcon Wealth Advisors. And if there's anybody who would like us to connect you with Samantha, certainly just let me know and I'm happy to make the introduction. But Samantha, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you again to everybody at home, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to Upticks. Click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. Also, be sure to visit our website, falconwealthadvisors.com, and click the Contact Us button if you'd like to meet with Jake and his team.